It's 2nd of September and we are officially in the middle of the National Nutrition Week. Observed annually in India from September 1st to 7th, the Nutrition Week is our annual reminder to check in on our eating habits, celebrate the power of good nutrition as well. It started to actually combat malnutrition and promote healthy diets across country. Initially, the focus was ensuring everyone was getting enough food to eat, especially in areas where food was scarce. Nowadays, as this week has evolved, it's grown in its broader mission, encouraging balanced diets, tackling issues like obesity, even considering the environmental impact of our food choices. With so much conflicting information, temptations everywhere, the National Nutrition Week is a perfect time to refocus on eating smart, living well and making healthier choices every day. And we on TBC are dedicating a full week to it. Every day we will be picking up a focus area and experts on the show will give you some workable solutions. We start the week with nutrition in babies and toddlers. Now, over the weekend, I'm sure you must have seen the recent US report and US study, which has revealed that around 60% of packaged baby food sold in the US does not meet nutrition standards set by the WHO. Researchers took a deep dive into over 650 baby food products from major US grocery stores, and the results showed that a staggering 70% of these, 70% of the products found on US shelves did not meet protein requirements, and nearly half of them had too much sugar. What's even worse and even more concerning is that many of these products were marked with bold claims like supports brain health, packaged with nutrients, but in reality, they might be doing more harm than actually good. High sugar, sodium, preservatives are all too common in these convenient pouches, ready-to-eat containers that are all around us. And also, and I say us because it's a phenomena in India as well, raising serious questions about their long-term impact on our children's health. Experts are now pointing out that these dietary choices could be linked to rise in child obesity, metabolic issues, even chronic diseases once thought only affected adults. Feeding these products all kinds of wrong baby foods, even in the early years, can shape the eating habit of a child for an entire lifetime. And it's a responsibility I'm sure no mother, no caregiver is going to take lightly. So on the program, let's try and understand how does this study actually shape up in the Indian context? And what exactly is a nutritious meal? What exactly is a balanced meal when it comes to your kids, your toddlers and your little ones? Joining us first on the program is Dr. Devesh Aggarwal. He is a child specialist from Gurgaon, Haryana, consultant pediatrician, very famous with NCR kids and their caregivers. Good morning, Dr. Devesh. So glad to have you with us early this morning. You know, the US study points to insufficient nutrition, high sodium levels, sugar levels, all of it. But that's in context to what's happening in the States. If you had to give us a current understanding of how this looks like in India, what are your thoughts on that?
See, traditionally, Indian families have been giving their babies home-cooked fresh food because they think that, and think correctly, that it is fresh, preservative-free, and quality ingredients, no preservatives, and they can control. For example, we do not allow the use of salt or sugar at all in the first year of life. So these are the basic beliefs because of which we encourage home food. But now in the metropolis cities, we have nuclear families and couples are busy, so they can't be cooking all the time fresh food. So they are opting more and more for baby foods, right from infant formulas to baby cereals to slurpy foods and a lot of vitamin and mineral supplements and baby snacks also. And this industry does have stringent standards enforced by FSSAI, but the implementation on the ground still needs to be checked. But this is a very fast growing part of
Implementation
the
indeed.
infant food
Yeah.
industry.
True, true that. But in desperate times, Dr. Devesh, and this is a question that pops up in all mums' mind. You know, nobody wants to give packaged food, but in desperate times when you're compelled to give something that comes out of a box, and there are so many D2C brands out there claiming to be non-preservative, to not have any added sugar, to not have any of those, disadvantages. What exactly are the red flags in ingredients? If you're looking at a box, what should you look for?
So two things. We totally cannot ignore the needs of the parents, and we cannot compromise on the baby also. So we need to marry the two. The look for your baby food beyond the home kitchen starts with the box first. First of all, you have to be very careful when you go to. You should always go with a magnifying glass. Okay. The package, the details are usually printed so small that it is difficult to read them. Number two, the detailing is also very often you'll find very tricky. Tricky is the word I would use. For example, if the daily sodium allowed to your baby is, let us say, 3 grams, and the portion size is 100 grams. So they would sometimes mention that salt content sodium 2 grams per 50 gram serving. So you feel 2 grams, you're happy. But when you calculate, your baby is going to get 100 grams. So he's going to get 4 grams of sodium, right? So that is where the trick lies. Sometimes they mention no sugar added, because in many places, cane sugar is counted as sugar, but palm sugar is not counted as sugar. So when they add palm sugar, it becomes tricky. Then they just mention things like hydrogenated fats or hydrogenated oils. A common person may not be able to understand. This is a polite way of saying that this contains trans fats. Because if you write trans fats, it's a big no-no. But don't write trans fats. Write something else. And when they say no sugar added, sometimes artificial sweeteners have been added, which are not in the green as of now.
I see. So, Dr. Devesh, help us understand this. Would it be fair to say that a basic, good old Dadi Nani Indian diet, and I say Dadi Nani because back in the day what people used to have, is okay for kids, for toddlers? Or are there any conventional deficiencies, even in our Indian food, that need to be compensated for?
Okay. First of all, 2 main ingredients which are missing in our Indian home diet are iron and vitamin D. So that we have to accept, and all Indian babies get iron and vitamin D supplement during the first year of life. So these 2 are the red flag things which are not there in a diet, which need to be supplemented. Besides that, unnecessary use of multivitamin drops in the first year is not required. However, your pediatrician may sometimes add them because the baby is fussy and is not eating an entire variety of food. When I say variety of foods, I mean to say we need to classify them as macronutrients and micronutrients. Your macronutrients, we all understand, are carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals. So for this, you have to have a variety of diet, right from to pulses, to fruits, to green leafy vegetables, and if you are a vegetarian, then of course things like paneer, soy, and green beans become very important for you. And if you are a non-vegetarian, you have less problem with these micronutrients and proteins, because fish, chicken, and egg provides a lot of it. So the variety in food is very important. And yes, mothers at times struggle because the baby does not know what the pediatrician says. They have their own mind.
Talking about mothers, you're absolutely right. It's a struggle. I think one thing that all young moms sort of will agree upon is that mera bachcha khana nahi khata hai. All mothers, all caregivers obsess over food. So what is your sort of nutrition advice 101 to all caregivers worried about, first, how much food is going into their babies and what exactly is the nutrition constitution of it?
Okay, most important thing, that the single largest complaint of a mother in India in our setting is "Mera bacha khata nahi hai," my child does not eat. Let's call him a fussy eater, and the most for a fussy eater is that you're running after him with food all the time. He has never experienced hunger. After every 30 minutes, because he has not eaten over the last half an hour, you're chasing him with food. Food becomes a problem for him. So first thing is no force feeding your baby. Variety, yes, but as long as you stick to no force feeding, offering food after every 3 hours, let the baby have food for 20 minutes. Don't sit around for an hour or two. Baby gets irritated. I mean, an adult would get irritated if you offer food every 30 minutes. So offer food every 30 minutes, offer it for 20 minutes. Don't do business deals like cell phone or TV or iPad to make the baby eat. And eat along with the right. So that is what I would advise. This will cut out 90% of your problem that the baby does not eat. Okay. Second comes to the variety of food. Okay. So now that you have to make a variety of food, and variety of food will not come in processed food. Processed food has one problem. You open a box of processed food.
Yeah.
Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 100. It will have the same color, same consistency, same texture, same taste. Try making dal at home. It will have a different color, different texture, different taste every day. So a child who is eating home food is adaptable to different textures, different colors, different flavors, because no 2 days dal would be the same. But processed food, just like a burger at a popular joint, will be the same today and 10 years down. So have variety and home cook as far as you can. Don't take too much.
Yeah. So, Dr. Devesh, let me come to this then. For those who are still not convinced and looking at food that comes out of a box, are perhaps giving in to the marketing or giving in to the packaging, what exactly is the problem with food that comes in a box? And does that include formula milk as well?
Everything that I've said so far, overloading with salt, overloading with sugar, which leads to early onset diabetes and hypertension at the age of 40. Then sometimes they go very heavy in calories, which causes obesity. Too much of sugar goes to dental caries, and they get fixed to a particular color and consistency. They are not adaptable to natural food, which tastes different every time. And yes, here also we might also like to talk about health food drinks, which have been rushing into the market, that your child needs these health food drinks. Now, if you look at the health food drinks, they market themselves as, for example, protein drinks. And you look at the actual protein content, there's and there's a large proportion of casein in it, less of whey protein, which babies should have. There's a lot of casein, and protein content is quite low. And the sugar overloading is so phenomenal that regular use may cause obesity. And many of, I can't name them, but many of the popular brands have accepted off the record that yes, they overloaded with sugar. So sweet that the child likes it and he takes it, and then he refuses to take milk without these additives.
All right, Dr. Devesh Aggarwal, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on all things baby food with a box. I mean, inside a box and outside a box, how exactly to go about it. Thanks so much for joining us with your thoughts. But we also have another guest, Anvita Chatwal. She's a top-notch nutritionist, and she will, help us break down on what exactly is it that these tricky food labels tell us, and how do we ensure that you're getting the right kind of diet in our kids' stomach. Okay, so Anvita, thanks so much for joining us. My first question really is your take on how you found baby food study that has come out from the US. 60% of them did not meet the nutritional guidelines. They had high sugar, they had high sodium, all things that you want to avoid in kids. And the worst part is the packaging that seemed to promise the world but was doing actually the opposite. In the Indian context, anecdotal sort of evidence that is picking up, because it's sad that we don't have a study done in India just yet. But anecdotally, when caregivers come to you, mothers come to you, what exactly are you seeing?
Yes, you are very right. In fact, if you talk about kids, their body is actually growing and they need to have all the nutrients in their body. So, for that, they need to make sure that major ingredients, all the macros and micros, should be a part of their dietary habits. And if we talk about packed foods, it's very, very important that all the nutrients in these packed foods are there. Let's start firstly with protein. Protein खूब सारा होना चाहिए in each and every product. Similarly, sugar. बट शुगर को कई नामों से छुपाया जाता है ताकि अगर उसका शुगर कंटेंट ज्यादा हो रहा है the consumer gets confused. And then we come about sodium. The sodium should not be higher up to the limit. It is good, but beyond that, it becomes bad for the child. Similarly, there are various, I would say, lines, बहुत सारी ऐड की जाती हैं जिससे allure किया जाता है customer को to buy that particular product. Something like these foods are referred to as snacks, and they're compared to fruits and vegetables, which they actually are not. And there are certain misleading claims which are being said on the packaging. Something like this is full of goodness, 100% natural, they are made from fresh, real fruits. So these all things really matter a lot while we are reading the labels and when these labels are being created.
Right. So read your labels. That's the bottom line that we're picking up both from a pediatrician and nutritionist as well. But tell us, what is a proper nutrition to be looked at? In fact, why, if you could tell us, is it so crucial to have proper nutrition in the first 3 years of your life?
See, if we see the kids are growing and developing to their full potential. So their foundation has to be right. They have to be eating nice, healthy eating. They have to be eating healthy food. Their habits have to be right because this will matter in their future. Their brain development is a key role which takes place on the nutrition part. And then if they want to the parents want to reduce the chronic diseases which can happen in the future, the diet should be apt. Then we talk about immunity, which is a major, major concern these days. So if the diet of the child, the emerging ears, the cells and tissues, when they are growing, they are developing, a good immunity can be a part only if they are being fed right. Similarly, if we talk about obesity, obesity is a major concern. I think every one child out of 8 is these days being considered as obese because of the wrong eating habits. And then we come to the iodine deficiency. If the iodine is more or less, it can create a lot of problem in kids, especially like mentally, hearing, speech, disability can take place. And then we can talk about iron deficiency, which can lead to less of oxygen in tissues and bodies in bodies tissues and organs, and which in turn can hamper their growth. So I think all these points, if we consider, so the age group from 1 to 3 really require a lot of focus in their nutritional habits.
Right. And it's not just about what they're eating now, right? It sort of sets in the tone and sets habits for future as well, which is why when it comes to kids, these early years are so critical. But tell us, if parents are looking at baby food labels, and I asked this to Dr. Devesh as well, what is the kind of right balance of things that one must look at? If at all you have to pick a box, because at the end of the day, the lives we live in the metros of India, everything comes in a box. Even if you tell me to have ragi, I will probably pick it up out of a box.
Major two contents which we actually should be looking for when we are buying these packet foods is, first of all, the sodium level and the sugar level. If the sodium level is high, the body loses the calcium. So the kids, since their bones are growing and if their sodium level is high, they can have a depletion of calcium and the bones can be weaker. And then, of course, we all know that if the sodium level is high, the blood pressure can be an issue. It can create certain heart diseases and even strokes at an early age. And because of sodium, overweight, obesity is a major, major reason. Then when we come to high sugar, again, all these things are a part of it. Obesity, BP, cholesterol levels go high, type 2 diabetes can be there in future. So as you said, the question is that how The parents should be probably reading the labels and then buying the product, especially when we're talking about sodium. So you need to make sure that at least, at the age group of 1 to 3, the kids should be having 1200 milligram sodium per day. And similarly, the age group of 4 to 8, it can rise up to 1500, and 9 to 13 till 1800, and the age group 14 to 18, they can go up to 2300 milligram per day. Similarly, if you talk about sugar, everything consists of sugar. Chahe aapki roti ho, sabzi ho, fruit ho, dal ho, everything has sugar, and natural sugar is
But
the best and it would not harm you. And if we're talking about added sugar, so this should be not more than, I would say, around 20 grams or maybe less than in a day for the children.
I see, I see. You're right about sort of navigating through these health claims. But what is your advice then? How should we be looking at baby food brands? Is there a lens or a meter or a mantra that you follow? Or do you tell your clients about how to look at brands, how to approach them?
Yeah, this is a very important question, Sona. We've been talking that okay, parents should check the ingredients, but they should actually know that what should be checked in ingredients, what should be read. So maybe there they can navigate the right thing for their child. So very firstly, what the parents should be doing is check the ingredient list, and if you check, the greatest ingredient is at the first level and the least is in the end. So if the parent is buying maybe a carrot apple sauce and thinking that it has more of carrots or more of iron, but if we see the ingredients, the first thing which is coming is apple puree. That means there is more of apple content, not the carrot. So be aware of that. And then similarly, the serving size and the calories related to it. Like if a packet of chips is like 100 calories per serving, that means, and then you have to check that 100 calories per serving of what? 10 grams, 100 grams, and then that particular packet is for how many grams? It is very, very much common that we just check this at, okay, 100 calories per serving. We don't read ahead. How much serving? 10 grams, 100 grams, and then the packet which we are holding, that is for how many grams? Next, as I've discussed it before, added sugar. One is total sugar and one is added sugar. Be very careful over here.
Yeah.
And of course, the various names being given to sugar, as I discussed before. Next comes fats. When you are reading the labels, check the fats. The very first is trans fat. This is not good for the health. Next comes saturated fat. Again, it is not good for the health. The lastly is unsaturated fat, which actually matters and which is actually a good fat. So you have to make sure that the quantity of unsaturated fat is higher rather than the trans fat and the saturated.
Right. So bottom line is that we've all got to include more minutes in our mom math segments and in our head know how to calculate the amount of sodium, amount of sugar. On top of that, ensure that we are doing the labeling and reading all of that correctly. Well, that's what all of us have to do, adults or kids alike. Actually, your final message then on some tips that you can share with parents very worried on whether the child is getting, like I said, the right amount of the right nutrition.
Sona, this is again a very important question. What I would say as a nutritionist, a parent should never rely on packed food. It is never good in any case. Whatever might be written, the food which you are preparing in your kitchen, especially in Indian kitchen, can surpass any of the food products which are available across the world. So if you are preparing all the food for your child in your kitchen, just make sure it's hygienic enough. All the fruits and vegetables are being washed. The tools being used are being washed properly. Now we come to the vegetables and fruits. Make sure that your child eats maximum amount of vegetable fruits, and they should be seasonal. Not buying the products which are fancy, the vegetables which are probably priced at a very higher level and they're being said they're imported and have more of nutrients, believe me, the thing which is seasonal, local has more nutrition for your child rather than something which is expensive and coming from far away places. Now, next, avoid more of sauces and mayonnaise and other taste developing things, which can actually enhance the particular dish. Instead, use Indian herbs, spices. The kids should be able to develop the taste. The taste buds should be developed by herbs and spices, not those tomato ketchups, those mayonnaise, those diet sauces. And as I told before, fruits, banana is the first solid food which you can introduce to a small child. Similarly, rice, it's nutritionally the best for your child. Add some ghee in it, maybe some curd in it, and they will enjoy. And you will be sure that they are getting all the nutrients, whether it's carbs, fats, protein, everything would be a part of it.
Yeah. All right, we leave it there. So much. Thank you so much, Anvita, for joining us. So with that, so bottom line is what? Bottom line is the same thing that we apply for kids and what we've been trying to talk about all this while. Eat local, eat seasonal, eat fresh, make it at home. Anything made at home is tons, times better than something that is available in the market. And also your basic roti, sabzi, dal, chawal is what everybody is asking you to go back to, and that is what your kids will also enjoy. And the tricky part is if you have to eat with them to inculcate habits, you also have to eat